A mindset shift is taking place as companies stop considering people only in the context of business needs and think more about what people are experiencing in the world around them and what they value. The last 18 months have been a period of accelerating the need to know your brand's purpose and act in a way that is genuine and authentic. Achieving authenticity as a brand requires truly understanding what your customers value and acting on those values in engaging with them. But how do you ensure you include them, consider them, represent them, and value them in your brand experience? It is not easy. Well, to give us all the answer to these questions and all the keys, we have with us Mascha Driessen, Regional Vice President, Continental Europe of Microsoft Advertising. Welcome, Mascha.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. So, buenos dias a todos. Of course, I'm going to do it in English. Those are the only Spanish words I know. So
don't worry, Mascha. Yes, I was telling the people they can answer both in English or in Spanish. I will translate them and send the questions to you.
Yes.
And looking forward to find more about that purpose, so important. Thank you, and go ahead, Mascha.
Thank you very much. And it's my true pleasure to be here at the IB in Inspirational 21. So I am talking to you remotely, right? And I'm very grateful for the support and the technology that brings me here with you all today. And I hope you're all safe and well and continue to be so, obviously. So I've been with Microsoft around 8 years, and I'm currently work, as was already said, at Microsoft Advertising. And during the last year, we've been working closely with our clients and our partners on their journey towards reinventing their marketing strategies to recover, to respond, and to also to reimagine their advertising and business in a time of economic uncertainty, but also in a time where health is important and with safety concerns that have increased, obviously. So what we have noticed is that there has been a mindset shift as companies stop considering people only in the context of business needs and think more about what people are experiencing in the world around them and what they value. So looking back in the last 20 months, that has been a period of accelerating the need to know your brand purpose and also to act in a way that is genuine and that is authentic. So today, as was already announced, I'm going to help you think about you ensure that you include them, consider them, and represent them, and value them in your brand experience. So the one guiding principle we use at Microsoft Advertising and where everything begins is with purpose. So in one of our research studies, which is called The Psychology of Inclusion and the Effects in Advertising, we found that companies that lead with purpose are more trusted and they're also more loved. So it helps them endure and thrive through tough times because it inspires loyal connections with their employees, with their communities, and also with their customers. So purpose fuels a genuine human connection through shared meaning, and it allows us all, whether we have our business or personal hat on, it allows us all to respond under pressure in uncertain times with a focus, with clarity, and with authenticity. And boy, it has been a very uncertain time, right, in the last 18 to 20 months. So whether that is changing your supply chain to become a customer of a more socially conscious supplier, or whether it's the creative that you design for your advertising, that all comes to play. So, but what does it actually really mean? So the definition of purpose is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So you start to ask yourself, what is your company's purpose? Does it align with what people care about inside your organization and outside of your organization? And as we begin to see the light at the end of this, of course, terrible pandemic, so many things in the world as we knew it have changed. So from digital transformation to social justice, the era of COVID has left the world with a lot of questions as to how to move forward. And as an organization, we have been thinking deeply about what this means for marketing and how we can meet this moment and the many more that will follow it. So brand trust and brand love are highly linked. As trust in a brand increases, so does people's expression of love for the brand. And the higher the trust rating, the higher the respondents gushed over those brands. You can see that over here in the table, right on the slide. So we found that trust is critical to brand performance, and it is a key strategy for marketers. And our findings uncovered the necessary actions marketers can take to increase trust and, of course, also brand love. And with that, create greater customer loyalty. And as you move up the curve, these are the top brand attributes and actions that you can take that increase trust, build greater brand love, and lead to enduring customer loyalty. And these attributes come directly from our research and index very high against the three areas of trust, love, and loyalty. It begins from a foundation of trust, so those table stakes. But then it blossoms into greater brand love by understanding what people value and delivering on those values. And it increases loyalty through a more genuine and authentic brand that represents the people that they actually serve. So the results of our research, it showed that is genuine and authentic is the top attribute in building trust, brand love, and of course also loyalty with people. And 72% of the respondents in our survey stated they are more likely to support brands that are authentic in their advertising, right? 72% of respondents, they stated that they're more likely to support brands that are authentic in their advertising. That's a huge number. So trust improves brand and advertising performance. Both are very important, right? But achieving that status, ensuring people feel seen, heard, and understood, so that you come across as genuine and authentic, that is where purpose is critical, right? You can say things, but if you really don't really mean it, then it doesn't come across, right? So the core attributes I showed just now on the loyalty curve that build trust and brand love became the further thinking of how we think about marketing with purpose. So think about how this applies to you in our business today. So first one is focus on responsibility. The first step to building trust that creates brand love is responsibility. Be responsible to your employees, be responsible to your customers and community, and with how you execute your marketing. The second one is lead with values that drive value. So shift your focus from the products and the services that you deliver to what people you serve value. So it may sound very easy, it's just one sentence, right? But this is a true mind shift of only focusing on your product or your service that you normally sell to actually what the people you serve, what they actually value. And then create more genuine and inclusive connections. So ensuring your advertising properly reflects people in a genuine and authentic way. It's like the three legs of a stool. These three strategies, they're all linked, and all three are required to build and maintain trust, right? Like the three legs of a stool. So we've put all of this thinking in a Marketing with Purpose playbook. And I will give you also a link at the end of the presentation. But this playbook is the output of many years of research and practice designed to empower all types of marketers with strategies, research, insights, and tactics. And if you want to go deeper into each of these three strategies, this is really the place to go. We're actually very proud of it, and it's already being used by many companies. So I'm sure you will find it useful. So the question is, why should you care, right? What we know from our research that trust is essential to driving business results, and it's essential to beginning a relationship with a customer. As you can see here, 85% of people we surveyed say that they will only consider a brand if they trust it. So 85%, that's huge. So of course, there will be varying degrees of trust, right? It will be a bit above, it will be a bit below, but 85% is the average that we found in our survey. And people still do businesses with companies they may not necessarily trust 100%, right? People will sometimes make that trade-off because it may be very cheap, for example, so they will make that trade-off once in a while. But once they are given an alternative, I bet they're gone, right? You can count on that. So in our study, we also found that people will buy in present and in future times from brands that stand for something that is larger than just the products or the services, right? When it aligns to their values. So the resulting stats of our research are actually huge. So 80% of the people believe brands should play a role in solving societal problems. That is a big expectation, right? 80%. So 60% of millennials and Gen Z prefer a brand that supports a social cause. Again, very high number. And as you can see on the slide here, 92% of people, so 92% of people say that they have a more positive image of a company that supports a social or societal issue. Those are immense numbers. And I would love to spend more time running through the research, but I also want to give you some examples of companies that are marketing with purpose. So you can start to see what it actually looks like, because, you know, it all sounds great, all these numbers, and it's a good starting point. But I actually brought 4 examples of companies that are actually doing very well in this area. So let me first start with Crux. This brand understands values drive value. So when COVID-19 hit in 2020, earlier in 2020, Crux, like so many brands, was significantly impacted. So their response was to take care of their employees, their customers, and their fans. So they launched a program for healthcare workers, and they called it Free Pair Healthcare. And with an astounding 860,000 pairs of Crux donation. So as healthcare workers have always been part of their consumer base, as you know, the Crux are being worn a lot at hospitals, for example, and especially as their products are, you know, easy to clean and easy to get on and off, even without using your hands, it simply made so much sense for them. So there was a need that they could uniquely fill when, of course, the hospitals was full with people being impacted by COVID-19. So with the stores being closed, they decided to interact directly with the healthcare workers through the Crux website. And it allowed them to really get something going very quickly and getting shoes out to people in need. So they gave away 10 to 20,000 pairs of shoes each day, for a total of just over 860,000 over the course of the campaign, and increased also the organic traffic from people coming to the site, to their website, right? So Crux demonstrated everyone their values and acted consciously, taking a stand in one of the worst times for the society. So this is an incredible example of marketing with purpose. And the Crux chief digital officer said they saw huge increases in traffic to their website, both from an organic standpoint, but also from a paid search and social standpoint. And of course, they built incredible goodwill with fans that believe in their vision and their company. So an amazing example of a brand that truly cared and truly helps. So I also brought another example, which is from Tony Chocolonely, a brand close to home for me, as they're based out of Amsterdam. And my question is, next time when you unwrap a chocolate bar, consider this. An estimated 2.3 million children work in the cacao fields of Ghana or the Côte d'Ivoire. And a number of major chocolate companies have acknowledged their usage of child slavery in their chocolate production, which is, of course, really, really bad. So despite this fact, many of the big league chocolate companies have yet to take meaningful action against the practice. So Tony Chocolonely, they wanted to change the entire industry, one chocolate bar at a time. So what their objective was to make chocolate 100% slave-free, not only their own, right, but chocolate worldwide. And the company has been fighting modern slavery for the chocolate industry for the past around 12, 13 years. So they created a shared value chain platform from bean to bar, which they called the Bean Tracker, which digitally logs the journey from bean to bar, so literally, and includes a monitoring tool for all actors in the chain to see where the beans are at any particular moment in time. So their goal was for the Bean Tracker platform to be able to be the industry standard for the traceability of bean to bar. And moreover, for it to be a platform that all interested chocolate companies, including the big chocolate companies, could use to join and to fight against modern slavery in the industry. So a very good example of starting with yourself, but actually trying to change the whole industry worldwide. One other example that I know is known to many of you is a company that's called Mango. So Mango took a stand with their inclusive advertising campaigns, and they launched Violetta by Mango. It's a range where they make a declaration in favor of diversity with the hashtag #WeAreVioletta. And this featured famous actresses and celebrities, encouraging us all to think beyond the established beauty standards and celebrating a diversity of styles and beauty and sizes of real women, right? Not just, the models that stand for always being very thin and almost being perfect, which is many times far from reality. So it is rooted in authenticity of the real human experience. And even lately, more recently, Mango have announced that it will integrate its larger sizes into existing Mango women's wear range, so that it's not siloed out, right? But rather that it's drawing into a more inclusive approach, which to me is a great example of evolving their lines to meet their values on first siloing it, on getting it a bit more attention and getting it the value that it needs, and now integrating it in their normal line of clothing. So for some, the idea of inclusion could feel risky sometimes, right? However, in reality, the inclusive ads show higher purchase intent, and what can be perceived as risky has a high reward for brands willing to take a stand for inclusion and for diversity. And in fact, our study showed a 23% point increase in purchase intent when using inclusive ads. And, I'll bet that women experiencing the Violetta campaign felt seen and understood, which aligns with the need of people wanting brands to be someone for like them, right? Not this model that is far out of reach. And trust me, I know it. So then the last example that I brought. So let's look at this example where marketing with purpose is expressed in the product itself. So Tommy Hilfiger launched Tommy Hilfiger Adaptive in 2017 already. So already for more than 4 years, almost 4 years ago, right? This was a collection with magnetic buttons, padded seats in pants for those who sit for long periods of time, like those using wheelchairs, for example, but also zippers you can easily do with one hand, and many more. So Tommy Hilfiger's team that leads this incredible retail innovation shared that 80% of customers who purchased both an adaptive and a non-adaptive item in the same purchase were actually new to the brand. And when they looked at the consumers who purchased adaptive only during the same time period, the percentage of new customers was even higher. So being seen, understood, and served drive growth. And you can find that by applying a human-centric, inclusive lens to your business, as Tommy Hilfiger did, right? Just launching a whole new line for those that have different needs. I'm truly touched by this example and by all the other examples that I just shared. So moving forward, words matter, and so do images. So based on insights to how people perceive inclusion, we discovered ways to signal inclusion using 3 metaphors. The 3 metaphors are connection, openness, and balance. So the first is the idea of connection of family. So consider the following words that you see here on this list as language-based cues in your ad copy, your advertising or content that indicates inclusion by building a sense of connection. Then the second one is openness or open-mindedness. In this metaphor, when a brand can come across as open, this indicates a sense of inclusion. This is the sense that the brand will push boundaries, that it's open-minded and exploratory, so that they do not hold back. These words reflect that. And finally, balance, which is about ensuring that everyone is represented equally, that no one person stands out as more important than anyone else. So everyone is represented equally. So find ways to incorporate any of these 50 words authentically, and they're authentically aligned with what you are marketing, and consider how your product, service, or experience can build connections. Be open, or be a place for open-mindedness, and it strives for balance. Signaling inclusion with images can be done using, the same three metaphors and mind tips for imagery that can be found in our playbook that I will release a bit later at the end of my presentation. So brands who want to truly connect with their customers must create inclusive feelings through their ads, and all the elements like words and images that I just shared, right? Those 50 words. Inclusive advertising done authentically feels like connection. It feels like family. And it produces the feelings of joy and trust, which are the main underlying feelings that inclusive advertising produces in people. So with that, I have hoped to have inspired you to be more ready to learn more and adopt marketing with purpose. And as I mentioned, we have developed a very practical playbook, but we also have a great training available that is available to everyone. So just take a look at this URL, and it's the Marketing with Purpose website for a lot more great assets that you can find here. And remember, marketing with purpose is the difference between earning a customer for a day and gaining a customer for life. So always keep in mind, for everything that you do, what is the reason you're doing something? What is its purpose for which it is being created, or for which something exists? Does it map to your brand purpose and mission? And I'll leave you with my purpose, which is here on screen, which doesn't need any more words. So think of all that I've said, and I'm very happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mascha. Fantastic. Totally inspired talk. This is what we needed. There's a couple of questions for you for the moment. They ask you, when talking about being responsible, you mention employees, customers, and community. Can't you expand on what this really means?
Yes, of course. And thank you for the question, because it's a very good question. Being responsible is core to building trust, right? So what we mean with that is that people want the truth. And being responsible means being transparent in everything that you do. And that starts with employees. If you can't be transparent with your own employees, how can you be transparent with your customers? So responsibility is about, doing the right thing. But it's not just what is legally required of you. It's about being a good steward of the customer experience. So what do you respect? It's about privacy. It's about protecting personal information. It's about ethical practices and so much more. It covers many things, and it will differ, of course, it will differ from business to business. But, one thing to bear in mind is that people want equitable experiences, not just compliance. You need to do the extra step, right? So that is what it means.
Okay, not just compliance. That's a very good tip.
One step more.
They also ask you, whose responsibility is it in an organization to own purpose? Is there such a job as a chief purpose officer?
Nice job. Nice title. I would say it's every single person. So it needs to start somewhere. So it can be driven from top down at the top. For example, with the business purpose officer, I love that title. But your values need to resonate with your employees first before they can land with an external audience, right? So I would say it lies within every single person, because every employee is also your evangelizer, right? They are your business card. They make your brand externally. So my advice is to hire diverse individuals to get opinions from all to ensure your purpose is really going to drive value, right? This is not some trick that you say, hey, I am the board of this company and now this is our purpose and you all need to, embrace it and be it. That's just not how it works. This is really about authenticity and the trust of your employees that they carry it out externally. So I would say this is a responsibility of every single person.
Excellent. And totally true. They ask you was regarding a brand washing. What options or possibilities there are after what you've mentioned? You gave us some examples, but where is the limit between that authenticity and the brand washing? Some brands may just hang on their website things like from the ODS, on the SDGs in English. Sorry. Sustainable Development Goals, just to look more green, and then hang the ping. And then what is the difference between being authentic and not jumping into brand washing?
Yes, and I think this is a very easy trap to step into, because consumers, they are not stupid, right? We're all consumers ourselves. People see right through it when it's not authentic. And there's so much out there on the World Wide Web. So let's take the example of the chocolate bar, right? There's so much knowledge on the web, and there's of course also groups that are trying to get the slavery out of the cacao bean industry. So you can say the one, but if you do the other, or if you don't do what you're saying, that's going to come out sooner or later. And then the brand damage is really worse, because that will probably take the news. It will gain a lot of negative PR, obviously. So people see right through it. And especially in this era, consumers are not stupid. So you should value them on who they are, and only do things if it's real, if it's authentic. Otherwise, it really doesn't work, or even worse, it can backfire.
Yeah, actually, it's what we've known as walk the walk, obviously, or talk the talk, because the damage to these brands it's much harder to recover from that. So it's not worth it. But it's obviously so easy to do this brand washing. I mean, I don't mean that brands actually do it. It's not worth it anymore, as you say. Customers have at their own hands all the tools to find out, and we find out anyway. So another question, somebody says, I can't think of a brand that I love, but I can't think of a brand that I love but not trust, which means I love but not trust. They go hand in hand, I guess. But there are lots that I trust but don't love. I even dislike some. They may be boring but trustworthy. For example, does trust have to be sexy too?
I think that is. I think it's very personal, because it does go hand in hand. If you love and like a brand, because you can love a brand, but maybe it's not a product or service that you use, right? So it's just not, let's say it's a brand of a certain sport, but you don't practice that sport, so you're not going to buy the things. It doesn't really matter, because all of the consumers, they're also, of course, stakeholders and influencers of others around them. So you may not be buying that product, but maybe someone else in your environment, a friend or a family member or colleague, does play that certain sport, and they also can be inspired by you, right? In just simple conversations. And those are very powerful moments, because we all know what it does if you get recommended something by a peer instead of that it's coming from the brand directly. So, of course, it doesn't always mean if you trust or love a brand that you also are going to buy it. Because all of the consumers are also stakeholders and evangelizers and influencers, whether you are an influencer that has thousands of followers, or whether you're an influencer just in a small circle of your own family and friends. So it is still important in the end.
I see. And they ask you as well, as the traditional marketers approach, the way they approach marketing was with the 4 Ps: price, place, product, and promotion. Would you place a 5th P for purpose even before these other 4 Ps?
Oh, I'm not sure who asked that question, but I love it. I would say it starts with that, right? As I just shared the example that sometimes people go to another brand just because, for example, that there is a very low price, but in the end, they actually don't trust it, but hey, it gives a good price, so I'm going there. But if there's a good alternative, then for sure they will flee, right? They will be gone as soon as there's a good alternative from a brand that does have this purpose, that they do trust. So I for sure love the fact to add the P of purpose and put it as the first P, because this is where it all starts, and this is also where it all ends.
Excellent, Mascha. Well, we don't have more time for questions, but I just have a few sentences of reminders or takeaways from everything you've given us, which has been extremely inspirational. But I love this sentence of yours when you say in advertising, words do matter, and images as well, you said. And of course, kind of a call to action. No? Marketing with purpose is the difference between making a customer for a day or getting a customer for a life. I love it. Yes. You know, I can my get goosebumps. And also remind our viewers that Microsoft has this playbook that you were saying, the playbook that we can download for free to help us in this search and quest for that purpose that it's crucial, paramount, and the first P. So we'll take your suggestions and tips very much into consideration. Mascha Driessen from Microsoft, thank you so much for joining us today in this first day of Inspirational 21, and we hope to see you very soon around. Okay, so we say goodbye to Mascha.
It has been a true pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.